I'm Naomi Richards, and I work as a life coach for children. I was 5 years old, and there I was, hiding under my bed, playing with my dolls with Lisa O'Regan. She was my first real friend that I remember. Lisa lived across the road from me, and I would see her most days. After school, she would come and play at my house, and that's what we'd do. Dolls under the bed, using our imaginations, and not having a clue what was going outside of the bunk bed. We had some great times, and I loved having a BFF. Our exclusive friendship didn't last. When you're 5 years old, nothing much does. We discovered there were lots of other people we wanted to play with, and so we began to play less and less with each other. I wasn't upset, and nor was she. We were both happy to have lots of friends. What happened years later, was a shock to me. I was 9 years old, and Gina Adele was my beloved, trusted friend. I loved her as any good friend would. So I was gutted, distraught, beside myself when she told me she was leaving the school. How could she? How could she leave me? Why did her dad have to go and get another job? She was my best friend. What was I going to do now? Primary school was never going to be the same again. Of course, I had many other friends. Everyone in my class just got along. They were all so kind and nice and friendly. But Gina, she was my soulmate. She got me. The first person I told was my mum. She was sad for me, but she gave me lots of ideas of how we could stay in touch. We could write, we could speak on the phone, we could email, we could even visit her. And when she finally did leave, we wrote, but we lost contact with each other. She had her life, and I got on with mine, and it happens when there's distance involved. But I'll never forget Gina. She showed me what true friendship was, and I feel very, very lucky to have had her at such a young age. So those are the two most prominent friendship memories I have. Gaining a BFF, and then years later, gaining another one, but then losing her through no fault of my own. And I don't really remember much about primary school, but secondary school feels very much like yesterday. Let's talk about Lisa. Lisa and her gang. They were anti-Semitic, and they certainly didn't like me. They didn't like the way I dressed or the fact that I was Jewish. They would follow me around the playground and call me names whilst I was with my friends. Annoying, yes, very annoying. Not for my clique, but for me. My friends were brilliant, and those friends who helped and supported me during that time are still in my life today. We would move around the playground while Lisa and her cronies followed, ignoring them and finding another place to stand and chat. Well, we did at first, until I started to get really fed up and decided this nastiness had to stop. I wanted to be left alone, and for her to give up on the heckles. "Leave me alone," I wanted to shout. I would have done so if she was not so big, strong, and muscular. So what did I do? I went back to that person who loved me more than anyone else in the world, my mum. I asked her, how could I make this go away? How should I respond? How can I make it stop? And how can I stop the words hurting? She was brilliant. She always is. She gave me lots of suggestions so I could protect myself emotionally from the words that were being said. And we role-played out some ideas. Some I didn't like and thought would never work, but others I did try out and they were successful. Having supportive friends and family really helped me. And so what I did next may or may not surprise you. Now, some of you have met me, and we've had Twitter engagements and everything else, and so you know that I am not your typical kind of person. I don't know how to put it. So I have a certain style, and in true kids coach style, I embraced my difference. My style at that age, I was a goth, and it became even more extreme. I was not going to hide who I was. I told the teachers what was going on, so they were aware of the situation, and I became an even stronger unit with my friends. We ignored them and would break out into laughter for no apparent reason to make them paranoid when they were near. I rose above the rude and ignorant names shouted at me and didn't let those words touch my self-esteem. I was better than the lot of them. They got bored and found something more fun to do. Result. Now that secondary school experience became a sort of tipping point for me because that's when I started to gain the real tools that I needed for life. I needed to equip myself for other people's harsh words. And aside from Lisa, it was a time in my life when I learned how to get along with others I was not so keen on, how to forge good friendships, how to show appreciation for those I love to be around, and how to be resilient. Resilience. Now, resilience is a skill that every child needs to have to survive being left out, friends moving away, losing friends to other cliques. By the way, that's something all children need to understand and cope with, especially the girls. Girls move around cliques so often in my son's class at school that I can't keep up with who's in each one. Even now as an adult, there are still lots of cliques, and of course there are lots of fallouts too. Resilience is needed throughout school, university, and in the workplace. And in my private practice, I see so many children that don't have it, and it really affects their friendships. It's not the stopping them making friends, but it's the actual keeping them. Roughly 90% of the children I see are girls with friendship issues. Children are so judgmental and cruel, and so are adults, which is why we need to teach resilience and problem solving to our children as they grow up. From the time they go to nursery and don't get to play with a favourite toy, all the way through to them leaving home and being knocked back by girls at a bar. They need these skills for the big wide world. We need to get children to think differently about who they are, what they stand for, and get them to see themselves in a positive light so that sticks and stones don't break their bones. They need to understand the dynamics of friendships and relationships whilst challenging negative thoughts and see setbacks as opportunities. And we need to help them do this. And as parents and educators we can, through teaching, coaching, workshops, conferences, storytelling, role-playing, games. We need to get children to think, why is this happening? Why is that person behaving in a certain way? And we all know there's a feeling behind the behaviour, right? This educational process may not come from the parents. In an ideal world, it would, but not all parents are equipped to pass these life skills on. And I know this because I receive phone calls from parents who say they don't know how to help their children, or they feel they've run out of resources, or they've told their children what to do when it comes to friendship issues. And surprisingly enough, the suggestions haven't worked. I feel very lucky to have had my parents sit down and discuss problems I had, and together we'd work through them, but it was me that actioned them. I learned how to solve problems. In 2014, there are many parents who are not allowing their children to resolve problems that they have, and they're coming to the rescue every time their child is unhappy about something. Now, it could be because they think they know what's best for the child, or that they want the problem to go away quickly, so they intervene. And I'm sure their intention is good, but what they are doing is losing the opportunity to connect with their child and develop their skills to problem solve. And that's one reason why I wrote the Parents Toolkit. I've actually bought 5 copies with me, and 5 people can take them away free. So scramble for those afterwards. And that's a book really for parents to have the tools to help their children with everyday issues and problems. So what do we need to do? We need to pass on these skills to parents. We need to teach them how to let go and be less in control. We need to teach them not to take over and encourage them to talk and build up their child's resilience through allowing their children to address issues on their own with their support. And if we don't, those children will not be able to navigate the challenges and the different personalities in life. So let's do it. Let's educate the parents and show them the way to raising independent, resilient young people. Thank you.